What's up, guys? It's Chris bringing you another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicles. On today's show, we're going to talk about Stellantis and their situation at a plant in Ohio where they're reassessing the situation where they said they're going to lay off about 1,000 people. We're also going to talk about Michigan's assault on GM as they renege on a deal for incentives that the state gave GM because of a plant that they were going to build that now GM has decided they're going to sell. Then we're going to head over to Volkswagen in Germany and talk about how they already put together a deal to save a whole bunch of jobs and a whole bunch of plants. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Stellantis and a new senator-elect out of Ohio that has great ideas for Stellantis and the U.S. brands that they operate. So let's jump right in. First off, we're going to do a real quick story about Stellantis and their idea that they're going to reassess some jobs, which is a great thing, we think, you know what I mean? But let's check it out real quick. It's going to be a real quick reader over at Automotive News. Stellantis shelves 1,100 layoffs at Ohio Jeep plant to a reassessed strategy. This is a story from December 20th by Vince Bond Jr. Stellantis has pulled back on its plan to lay off about 1,100 workers at its Jeep Gladiator plant in Ohio next month. The company in November notified the state of pending layoffs, saying it was eliminating one of two daily shifts at the Toledo South assembly plant to reduce Gladiator inventories and align production with sales. The change in plans comes weeks after Carlos Tavares resigned as CEO of Stellantis. He led a global cost-cutting crusade that saw the automaker lay off thousands of workers this year. As Stellantis continues to reassess its strategy in North America, the company has decided to extend the warn notice that was issued in November for the Toledo South assembly plant. The automaker said in a statement, as a result, no employees will be placed on indefinite layoff on January 5, 2025, due to the previously announced shift reduction. Employees are expected to return to work as scheduled after the new year. Excuse me. A spokesperson said it's possible layoffs won't happen. The company wouldn't say how long the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act notice has been extended, but said the law allows for up to 2 months. Now that Carlos Tavares is out of the picture, I believe things are starting to move in a more positive direction. UAW Vice President Kevin Godinsky, who heads the Stellantis department, wrote in a December 19 letter to union leaders. The company has already partially reversed some previously announced layoffs at Mack, Jefferson North, and Toledo Assembly. With change to leadership, the company may be reconsidering their plans to offshore UAW jobs. From 2020 through 2022, the Gladiator averaged 81,703 sales in the U.S., topping out just shy of 90,000 in 2021. While it didn't come close to the dominant Toyota Tacoma, the Gladiator carved out its own place and climbed as high as third among mid-sized pickups while tussling for a position with the Ford Ranger and Chevrolet Colorado. Alright, so now this is a whole bunch to do about nothing. Now, what this is, of course, is a plea to make Stellantis look good and a plea to make Carlos Tavares look like the super duper bad guy. They spoke about how he went around, creating all these layoffs and all these things, and those things were created pretty much because of the UAW contract and the inability for these companies to progress as these contracts stated that they were supposed to. This is just a whole bunch of fluff. That's all this is. This is a whole bunch of fluff. They're going to act like they're not going to lay these people off, but they're not going to say totally that they're not going to lay these people off. They're just going to say, oh, well, we're going to put a hold on it, and we're going to think about it. We're going to reassess is the word that they're using. We're going to reassess the situation. It doesn't mean anything. All I can say to these people who are in this position that they might be laid off or in this position where they are supposed to come back in January, go back to school. Get you a cybersecurity certification or get you some schooling in STEM or something, because these layoffs are inevitable. there's no way that they can maintain these people because they don't have the sales and the market share to get rid of these products to keep paying these people. So these layoffs are going to happen. It's I've been saying it so long, but I think that it was their plan to, degrade these U.S. companies that are part of Stellantis to the point where they can sell them. That's what it's always looked at like to me. That's definitely what they're even trying to say that Carlos Tavares was doing, trying to take market away from the U.S. automakers and do all these things to the U.S. automaker, and that's why they're turning him into a scapegoat, because they can sit here and say that he was the person that caused all these layoffs, when in fact that's because of the bad contracts that Stellantis was allowing to happen with the UAW, with certain battery companies. So with the lack of marketing that they were doing for these products that they were trying to sell, the adaptation of EV vehicles and their massive massive investment into EVs, that's what caused all these layoffs, was their lack of money to afford these people and these vehicles not selling. So this is just a whole bunch of fluff. This is just them trying to really blame Carlos Tavares for everything so they can ease back and continue whatever plan that they had for Stellantis and these, the automakers that are under them here in the U.S. But yeah, this don't mean nothing. Please don't sit there and think that your jobs are safe. Don't think that they don't plan or don't still foresee you losing your jobs in January after the first of the year. So just be prepared. Just be prepared. That's all I can say about that. All right, so let's keep going. So GM, in an effort to keep themselves going, in an effort to push themselves forward in the EV market, stated to the state of Michigan that they were going to invest in a battery plant over, I think it was in Lansing, and they pretty much forced the state of Michigan to incentivize this plant. Well, GM now has decided that they're going to sell this plant. So there's been a lot of fluff about this and brouhaha and everything. So we're going to check this out real quick. So first we're going to check out a video that was did a little while ago by Fox Detroit about the state GM pretty much extorting the taxpayers for this money and then back reneging on the deal. So we're going to check this out real quick and then we're going to see what else somebody else said about it.
That the company would spend billions to build EV batteries in Lansing using $666 million of your tax. This week, without fanfare, General Motors announced it was pulling out of the deal and selling it to another company. The new incoming Republican Speaker of the Michigan House is disappointed and critical of GM, alleging that your tax dollars are being abused.
Is it too far-fetched to accuse General Motors of abusing Michigan taxpayers?
No, it's just the arrogance of GM to do that.
Back in 2021, GM went to the governor and lawmakers and, according to Representative Hall, delivered an ultimatum. Either help us with these new plants or we'll go to some other state to build them. The governor, with a bipartisan vote, allocated the money. Representative Hall alleges GM extorted the money and he wants it back.
The governor, you think, should have negotiated language that said if you renege, we get the money back.
Yes. Yeah.
It's unclear if the language is in there. Mr. Hall says the state tax incentives showed that the state is committed to General Motors. He's not so sure the feeling is mutual. And if he had a one-on-one with the CEO,
I would tell her that, her only obligation is not to her shareholders. And I'm disappointed. And I would ask her, step up and show the people of Michigan you're committed to our state and you're committed to Detroit.
In Lansing, Tim Skubic, Fox 2 News.
All right, so, and yeah, that's, they just played them. Let's face it, the GM played the state of Michigan, got them to fork over, $666 million to incentivize this deal for this plant. and then they decided they were going to sell it. So let's check out a news story about the same situation. This is going to be a reader, of course, from our favorite place, Automotive News, where they talk about the state is going to renegotiate the deal from GM, because obviously the contract that they signed didn't have wording in it to the point where if GM reneged, that they get their money back. So now they got to try to renegotiate. So let's check it out. So, of course, Automotive News, we love them. They are our favorite. State to renegotiate GM incentive deal after a battery plant exit. And this is from Kurt Nagy from December 20th. Michigan officials are planning to renegotiate a taxpayer-funded incentive deal for General Motors after the automaker said it would exit the Ultium Cells electric vehicle battery plant in Lansing. The state awarded a $666 million grant package to GM in 2022, the first of the controversial SOAR Strategic Outreach and Attraction Fund, to secure a $6.5 billion investment in Michigan and 4,000 new jobs by 2030, according to terms of the deal. The pair of grants supported the automaker's $4 billion EV expansion in Orion Township, 38 miles north of Detroit, and a $2.5 billion Ultium battery plant in Lansing, which was to be a joint venture between GM and South Korean plant giant LG Energy Solution. GM announced earlier this month it would sell its stake in the plant to LG with plans to recoup its $1 billion investment. The move is triggering the Michigan Economic Development Corporation to renegotiate the contract terms it executed with GM and Ultium Cells, and MED CEO Quentin Messer told the Automotive News affiliate Crane's Detroit Business. One of the things that collectively we've said is that we will have to go and renegotiate those grants agreements because now, because now GM will not have any employment at the Lansing plant, Messer said in the interview. Their sole employment is going to come from the Lake Orion facility, and so that's going to require us to do a rewrite of those agreements that will be undertaken the first quarter of the calendar year 2025. Those discussions will take place as GM's subsidiary deals with writ large with the state come under sharper scrutiny as the Detroit-based automaker looks for $250 million in public funding for a $1.6 billion redevelopment of the Renaissance Center plan with Dan Gilbert's Bedrock LLC. GM declined to comment on the renegotiation. All right. So, what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that the original deal that the state of Michigan made with GM didn't have any wording that would allow for the state of Michigan to get their money back if GM reneged and sold their portion of this cell plant. Well, and now the state itself is going to have to renegotiate with GM. Is that going to be extremely successful? Probably not for the state, because if it would be a lot easier if they'd had wording in the contract that they could just do this, arbitrarily, but obviously they did not. So now it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a fight for the state of Michigan to get their money back from GM. So we've praised GM up and down last couple of weeks. We thought that they were doing great things. We praised them for this plant because of 4,000 new jobs in Michigan. Fantastic, and the truth is the plant's still going up, so it's still going to be jobs there. So we're not upset about that, but GM is playing the game. GM is playing a game with the state of Michigan, taking money that they don't deserve, and the state got to get their get back. I really appreciate this, is the governor, I think it was, is going after them. He talking about he gonna get in front of Mary Bear and tell her what it is. But I mean, the fact is that these contracts, they have to be worded so much better. We after the whole UAW debacle and the fact that they signed this contract that was supposed to do all these great things for these UAW employees, to the point where a majority of them got fired, is just a par for the course of just bad contract writing, bad negotiating, and specifically bad negotiating to the point where it affects the U.S. automakers. But in this case, of course, GM got over. So it's not affecting the U.S. automaker. It's the U.S. automaker affecting the state. So let's hope that, Michigan has a good idea, or they have, they got to have the best lawyers in the state. So, get them some good guys up in there. They renegotiate this deal, get them some money back so they can put it back into the automotive industry in Michigan in some other way. Because let's face it, out of all the states, when it comes to the automotive industry, Michigan is the bedrock, and we have to maintain it, make sure that it stays strong when it comes to being the automotive epicenter. All right, let's keep going. Probably going to be a short show today. All right, so talked recently about the whole brouhaha with Volkswagen and Audi and the contract negotiations with their plants over in Germany. Well, they've come out and, they've cut them a nice little, they've reached a deal to stop all this, the job cuts and all these things. Not something they often are able to do here in the States, but they got it done in Germany. So let's check it out. See what we can find out about that situation.
Volkswagen has reached a deal with unions that will see sweeping changes to its German operations, including sharp reductions in capacity and more than 35,000 future job cuts. Union leaders hailed the agreement as a, quote, Christmas miracle after 70 hours of grueling talks, the longest in VW's 87-year history. Here's Union IG Metall negotiator Thorsten Groger. We are pleased that we have put together a package in which the red lines have been adhered to, he said. There won't be any immediate site closures or layoffs at Volkswagen, and the company appears to have backed away from demanding 10% wage cuts. Europe's biggest car maker has been in negotiations over pay and jobs since September. It had said cost-cutting measures were necessary to compete with Chinese rivals, handle lackluster demand in Europe, and slower than expected adoption of electric vehicles. The deal avoids costly strikes and may also provide relief to investors. Around 100,000 workers had already staged 2 separate strikes in the past month, protesting against plans to cut wages, reduce capacity, and potentially shut German plants for the first time. VW said the union deal would allow savings of $15.6 billion annually in the medium term and saw no significant impact on its 2024 guidance.
Okay, so once again, guys, same as the Stellantis situation. It's just a lot of fluff. I mean, they're trying to show a united front in front of everybody. They've reached a deal that pretty much is just saying, are we going to hold off on doing anything? It's not a deal that's saying, well, we're going to not do this and not do that. They still have all these ideas of layoffs and cuts and closings in the works, but they're just saying that the deal is that we're not going to do that right now. That's all it is. It's not a deal of, well, let's, we're going, let's cut if the deal would be for them to, all right, well, we're going to cut pay 10%. That's a deal. A deal would be, well, we're not going to lay off anybody at all anytime soon. That's a deal. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying they're going to reevaluate. They're going to reassess, just like Stellantis is saying. They understand that if they don't find some way to get sales up, find some way to get their market share back up, then they're going to have to make these cuts. They know that the EV market is coming. They know there's millions of new EV automakers coming that are selling cars, specifically here in the States and in China and in Germany to some degree. So, the thing that we have to understand is that, it's Volkswagen is pretty much a German-based company. So they have to show strength in Germany. They have to show that we're going to take care of our German people because we are a German company. And that's how we feel about the United States and the U.S. automakers is that, as Americans, we have a desire to take care of the U.S. automakers because the U.S. automakers are the ones who take care of our people. And this is going to lead into our last story, but we have to really look at the idea that, just like China government has a nice, hand in what their automakers do. They have a hand in who their people buy their vehicles from. They incentivize it really big. They might even to some degree force you to buy certain vehicles. But they make sure that they maintain a situation where their automakers are going to do well. At the very least, they're going to do well in their country. And you would expect that, Germany would do the same thing. Now, I did a story a couple weeks ago, and it just came to my mind, but I did a story a couple weeks ago, and somebody put a comment in that Germany is one of the biggest importers of American vehicles, which I didn't, I didn't know that. That is, I understand that Germany doesn't have a lot of automakers per se anyway, so it was a situation where that would make sense that they would import a lot of American vehicles. But in that tone, just like here in the States, then you would understand how their German automakers would have a problem with that, because of course that means that there's a lot more American vehicles being driven around Germany than German vehicles. So just like here in the States, and that's a problem. That's a problem. These automakers here, it's about variety, of course, and it's about a person's ability to buy whatever they want here in America. I understand that, and we just have to understand that if we, as long as we do that, and as long as we choose to buy things that are not American, we make the choice to not support the American people. So, and it's about, I'm not going to say that's a bad thing, but it's a thing that hurts us to some degree. We have to understand that. We have to understand that China's choosing to force, their people, or to incentivize their people buying their product is a good thing. We have to understand that us not doing that here in America is a bad thing. And then, of course, Germany not doing it over in Germany is a bad thing too. So it's just one of those things where, variety is the spice of life, but in this particular situation, it is not the best thing for the places that are bringing in all the variety. Specifically, if the variety is causing a situation where, the people that depend on us to support them are not getting supported by us. If that makes sense. All right, so last story. So we're going to check out a new, U.S. Senator, Bernie Moreno, out of Ohio. He's a U.S. auto dealer, and he just became senator. He'll be a senator coming here in January. And he has some great ideas, pretty much some ideas that I really believe in. Let's put it that way. So let's check out a video. We're going to read his story, and we're just going to go from here, okay?
Bernie Moreno, an Ohio auto dealer, is a man on a mission. Newly elected to the U.S. Senate, Moreno is set to take office in January 2025. Even before his term begins, Moreno has become a lightning rod for controversy with his outspoken views on the automotive industry. Moreno's background in the car business gives him a unique perspective on the challenges and opportunities facing American automakers. Moreno's foray into politics is driven by a desire to shake things up in Washington. He believes that his experience in the private sector will be an asset in the Senate, where he plans to champion policies that support American businesses and workers. Moreno has wasted no time in outlining his vision for the American automotive industry. His most attention-grabbing proposal urging Stellantis NV to divest its American brands. Stellantis, a multinational automotive behemoth formed from the merger of Fiat Chrysler Automobiles and the French PSA Group, controls some of the most iconic names in American motoring. Moreno's proposal is rooted in a belief that these American brands would be better served under American ownership. He argues that Stellantis, with its European leadership, has not always acted in the best interests of American workers and consumers. Moreno's call for divestment has sent shockwaves through the automotive world, setting the stage for a high-stakes battle over the future of these iconic brands. Moreno's proposal focuses on 4 legendary American brands: Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler. These brands have been cornerstones of the American automotive landscape for decades, each with its own unique identity and loyal customer base. Moreno believes that by focusing on these iconic brands, there is a significant opportunity to revitalize the American automotive industry. Each of these brands has a rich history and a loyal following in the United States. Jeep, for instance, has roots that trace back to World War II, where it became an essential vehicle for the military. Ram trucks have been a staple for those needing reliable and powerful work vehicles. Dodge has always been synonymous with speed and performance, capturing the hearts of car enthusiasts. Chrysler, once a symbol of American luxury, has seen its ups and downs but still holds a special place in the hearts of many. Jeep, known for its rugged SUVs, has become synonymous with off-road adventure. The brand has cultivated a strong community of off-road enthusiasts who swear by its capability and durability. From the iconic Wrangler to the versatile Grand Cherokee, Jeep vehicles are designed to conquer any terrain, making them a favorite for those who seek adventure and freedom. Ram trucks are renowned for their power and durability. These trucks are built to handle the toughest jobs, whether it's hauling heavy loads, towing trailers, or navigating rugged construction sites. Ram has consistently delivered vehicles that meet the demands of hardworking Americans, earning a reputation for reliability and strength, while Dodge has built a reputation for performance cars that appeal to driving enthusiasts. The brand's lineup, including the Charger and Challenger,
My nose was so long.
focus has shifted away from these American icons in favor of European brands within the Stellantis portfolio. This shift has led to a lack of innovation and investment in new models, which has hurt the brand's competitiveness in the market. He points to job cuts at American factories and a perceived lack of investment in new models as evidence that Stellantis is more interested in propping up its European operations. The reduction in workforce and the idling of production lines have had a significant impact on local communities and the overall health of the American automotive industry. Moreno believes that by returning these brands to American hands, they can once again thrive in the marketplace. He envisions a future where Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler are revitalized with new models, innovative technologies, and a renewed focus on their core values. By doing so, these brands can not only regain their former glory, but also contribute to the resurgence of the American automotive industry, creating jobs and driving economic growth. Section 4. Navigating the uncertain waters of divestment. In this section, we delve into the complexities and challenges that come with the idea of divestment, particularly in the context of the automotive industry. The proposal put forth by Moreno has ignited a significant debate, raising questions about the future of American car brands and their place in a globalized market. Moreno's proposal has sparked a heated debate about the potential consequences of divestment. On one side, there are those who see this as an opportunity to revitalize American car brands, giving them a chance to thrive independently or under new ownership. On the other side, there are concerns about the risks and uncertainties that such a move could entail. Proponents of the plan argue that it would give these American brands a new lease on life, freeing them from the constraints of a multinational corporation with divided loyalties. They believe that by focusing solely on the American market, these brands could innovate and compete more effectively. They envision a scenario where these brands could be acquired by American companies or investors who would be more invested in their success and more attuned to the needs and preferences of American consumers. This could lead to a more dynamic and responsive automotive industry in the United States. Alternatively, these brands could operate as independent entities, free to chart their own course and make decisions that are in their best interests. This independence could foster a spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship, driving the development of new products and technologies. This, they argue, would lead to more investment in new products and technologies, as companies would be more willing to take risks and explore new ideas. The potential for growth and advancement in the automotive industry could be significant, with benefits for both consumers and the economy as a whole. Additionally, a renewed focus on the American market could lead to a stronger and more competitive domestic automotive industry. By prioritizing the needs and preferences of American consumers, these brands could build a loyal customer base and drive demand for their products. However, critics of the plan warn of potential pitfalls. They argue that divestment could lead to significant disruptions in the automotive industry, with far-reaching consequences for both companies and consumers. The risks associated with breaking up a multinational corporation are not to be underestimated. They point out that Stellantis has a global manufacturing and supply chain that could be disrupted by a breakup. The interconnected nature of the automotive industry means that any changes to the structure of the company could have ripple effects throughout the supply chain, potentially leading to delays, increased costs, and other challenges. They also argue that these American brands benefit from being part of a larger group, which gives them access to economies of scale and shared technologies. The resources and expertise available within a multinational corporation can be invaluable, providing support and stability that might be lacking in a smaller, independent company. The economies of scale achieved by being part of a larger group can lead to cost savings and efficiencies that are difficult to replicate in a smaller, standalone company. Shared technologies and innovations can also drive progress and keep these brands competitive in a rapidly evolving market. Section 5, Stellantis pushes back, a counterpoint to divestment. Stellantis has been quick to respond to Moreno's proposal, making it clear that they have no intention of parting ways with their American brands. The company has emphasized its commitment to the American market, highlighting the strategic importance of its brands like Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram. These brands have a long history and a loyal customer base in the United States, which Stellantis believes is crucial for its continued success. The company has defended its track record, pointing to investments it has made in American factories and new models. Over the past few years, Stellantis has poured billions of dollars into modernizing its production facilities and developing innovative vehicle designs. These investments have not only created jobs but have also ensured that Stellantis remains at the forefront of automotive technology and manufacturing efficiency. Stellantis argues that its global scale and resources allow it to compete more effectively in the rapidly evolving automotive industry. By leveraging its international presence, the company can share technological advancements and best practices across its various markets. This global approach enables Stellantis to respond swiftly to changes in consumer preferences and regulatory requirements, ensuring that it remains competitive on a worldwide scale. Stellantis maintains that its American brands are a vital part of its global strategy. These brands not only contribute significantly to the company's revenue, but also play a key role in its brand identity. Jeep, for instance, is synonymous with ruggedness and adventure, while Chrysler represents luxury and innovation. By keeping these brands under its umbrella, Stellantis can offer a diverse range of vehicles that cater to different market segments and consumer needs. The company's...
Oh. All right, guys, yeah. That was some interesting stuff. Woo! Got deep, boy, got deep. Shout out to Bernie Moreno. We are a believer in you, my friend. Because that's what we've been talking about forever. You know, I've always said that Stellantis is one of those companies that, you know, buys up everything. It's a corporate raider. It says it's doing all this investment, but then again, we see that they've done all these situations where they've gotten rid of so many things. They're getting rid of, they've already discontinued Camaro. Y'all know they're discontinuing all kinds of cars now. They're going to have to get rid of all kinds of brands, which I understand to some degree, but I think that Stellantis has an idea in their minds that, you know, the U.S. automakers are not top priority, and it never seemed like that to me when it comes to Stellantis, as they are not a U.S. based, you know, parent company. So, and you could see it, and of course Bernie Moreno sees it just like everybody else sees it. It just doesn't feel like Stellantis is trying its best to take care of these U.S. automakers as it would be if these U.S. automakers was run by U.S. owners. Because priority. I think that it's the fact that they have this global outreach is fantastic to some degree for a financial aspect, but what we really need is an idea of buying our parts and things of that nature from the U.S. and doing our best to get parts from the U.S. to help the U.S., to help the automakers here in the U.S., to help the chip makers, the battery makers here in the U.S., because those companies are suffering, as well as the whole entire U.S. of A. And it's just one of those things. So we just have to really enjoy the upcoming, political climate, as it were, the ideas that Trump has put out for the automotive industry, the ideas that Bernie Moreno is putting out for the automotive industry. This next coming year is going to be extremely crucial for the automotive industry. It's going to be, we hope, it's going to be a windfall of all of these great things that were the things that made us great when it came to the automotive industry back in the days. All of the things that Trump has said, the ideas that Bernie Moreno is stating, there's a lot of good plans and ideas coming out of the political spectrum, specifically in Michigan, that are upsides for the automotive industry. And we can only think positively that these things will continue to come to fruition and continue to make the automotive industry strong like it was before. All right, guys, I'm going to let y'all go and get up out of y'all. It's a pleasure as always. It's a kind of cloudy Sunday out here in California, so might be a perfect time to stay in and watch some NFL, enjoy your family, and enjoy your life. I'm your boy Chris Surratt. Please like, share, subscribe. Hit me a DM if you have any questions, and I'm out. Peace.